My name's Rory, as Jeff said, so I'm going to try and get going here. Don't want to take up a whole lot of time. Actually, that's a lie. Let's do this instead. So, everybody else today has had some really, really compelling and interesting stories to tell. Very earnest, very scholarly stuff going on, and I'm kind of an idiot. So, the whole reason I'm up here today is actually because of an accident or a big mouth, mine. Kind of the same way I started off as a designer in the first place. I walked into work one day where I was sales manager, and I'm like, I'm so embarrassed at how bad our marketing materials are. Man, if only I had a computer, I could do 10 times better. Next day, I show up to work, guess what's sitting on my desk? And that's how I became a designer. So then I had to go Last Friday, we were having a meeting talking about, we got ideas on tap, what kind of stuff can we do, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, if you didn't have already enough speakers, I could do a presentation. And they're like, you're on. I'm like, oh. So, we had been talking in the meeting about how marketing has changed, marketing stories, marketing slogans. We've been talking, Josh had an amazing talk earlier about the importance of storytelling. Stories have changed so much over the last, century. Has everybody seen the television show Mad Men? Back when I was working at an ad agency was at the time that Mad Men was at its most popular. It was like the number one thing on TV. And it made marketing and advertising so sexy. Everybody was like, oh, I'm so into this. I want to have a part of this. People would come into our office to see stuff and they'd be disappointed to see that it wasn't what you saw on Mad Men. We were a lot more conventional. There was nobody having an affair in the bathroom. There was all that sort of thing. And they'd be like, well, we expected the creators to be all having Nerf gun fights and running around. And it's like, no, we're cool. But one thing that Mad Men did beyond making it sexy is it also showed that the people who are creating the stories, they're fallible. They're fallible people. They're humans. We're all humans. We're all people. We all have our own perspectives that we bring to things. And a lot of that comes from culture. It comes from the culture that we're in. The stories that we tell in marketing or just in general come from culture. And by culture, I'm not talking about what's the latest trend or what's the fashion, what's hip and cool right now. But it's deeper than that. It's the actual core values that culture has. And those things are much slower to change. Like your trends, what's cool to be wearing today, by later today, it's probably not cool anymore. But values, societal values, take a while to shift. But they do. And when you start looking and take a macro view of it, it's horrifying how much it changes. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a little bit of a trip. Again, if you're looking for educational value, the big takeaway from my presentation is don't do anything of what I'm about to show you. Also, I just want to do a quick preface as well of being serious. I do get, as you're going through and you're seeing some of what I'm showing you, I do get the irony that it is a old white dude up here showing you this stuff. I am what I am. So I don't want to make light, but I am going to try and keep this lighthearted, as we say. So let's go through, we're going to hop in our time machine, get in the TARDIS, we're going to head back. Does anybody remember that slogan? Anybody heard this one before? You know what it's from? It was a cigarette company. You're right. Virginia Slims. You've come a lot. Yeah, exactly. Those slogans last. You've come a long way, baby, was their tagline. And they did that for many, many years. And you think back, Rosemary for president. Someday, moving right along. You mean a woman can open it? Also, I want to preface, Each one of these examples, I went and I did Google research to make sure this isn't just some BS that somebody's made up in Photoshop and thrown up on the internet. These are all genuine, real examples of the marketing stories that used to be culturally acceptable. Wives, look this ad over carefully. Circle the items you want for Christmas. Show it to your husband. If he does not go to the store immediately, cry a little. Not a lot. Not a lot. Just a little. He'll go. He'll go. But they have also carefully thought of the husbands. Look this ad over carefully. Pick out what your wife wants. Go buy it before she starts to cry. Christmas morning, she'll be happier with a Hoover. This one, the real button on this is the final tagline. It's designed for you, but built for your husband. This, really, I can't even read that one out loud. Keep up with the house while you keep down your weight. This stuff was culturally acceptable. The 1960s. Sooner or later, your wife will drive home. One of the best reasons for owning a Volkswagen. You can conveniently replace anything she uses to stop the car. So, yeah. But hey, at least they were looking out for your health. Now, these ones here, it's a lot of fine print, but they have shown us here with their scientific research what was causing so much marital distress back in the 1940s. It had to do with feminine hygiene, and the solution, anybody heard of the products Lysol? Have you ever used Lysol to perhaps disinfect your countertop? That's the product that they used to recommend for women to save their marriage. Of course, here, this poor son, he suffered from menstrual cramps. He has here, we have a beautiful, beautiful story here where he goes off and he says, well, my life has been different now that my wife has started taking Femicin. So, of course, once your wife is pregnant, well, again, we're looking out for her. Now she can cook breakfast again because she has taken Mornidine. So, and then what else are the health professionals doing for us?
You know, if you were to follow a busy doctor as he makes his daily round of calls, you'd find yourself having a mighty busy time keeping up with him. Time out for many men of medicine usually means just long enough to enjoy a cigarette. And because they know what a pleasure it is to smoke a mild, good-tasting cigarette, they're particular about the brand they choose. In a repeated national survey, doctors...
Okay, confession, I actually am a smoker. I'm sorry, I apologize. Even I know this is bullshit. So as we move along... Hello? What am I doing wrong? Oh, there we go. It can get worse. I'm going to try and... 1960s, 1970s. Justice is when you let him make the big decisions, like what to do in Vietnam, and when you get to select the furniture. Show her it's a man's world. I'll wrap that up. At least they were looking towards the future. It's a little short, a little small to read on the screen, but there's the headline for you. Yeah. So, just as an example in modern day, we've all heard this quote before. Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. The 1970s, the Parker Pen Company. How many ladies here, how many women here use a pen? Well, apparently the Parker Company had found an unidentified need. Pens were just too difficult for women to use. You'd think that as modern culture has evolved, you would think that possibly that's not really a good marketing message for today. 2012, the Bic company introduced Bic for Her. Ellen DeGeneres had a lot of fun with this on her show. Twitter, Facebook had a lot of fun. Yeah. I love this guy. It's like, whoa. Yeah, again, failure to learn from history. Bic ran this social media campaign exactly 1 year prior to Bic for Her and got the same social media shitstorm that they pulled up again in 2012. Think like a man. So, like I say, again, facepalm. But it could be worse. This part of my presentation actually I took out. I actually chopped out 3 or 4 slides. I had a talk with some of the people I work with downstairs in my department, and we all sort of agreed, you think this was bad, what I've showed you? It got worse. It got a lot worse. Important when we're talking about the stories that are going to represent our brands and represent us when we're working on behalf of clients. If a big takeaway we can take is history will always ultimately judge us for what we do and what we stand for. Which side of history do you want to be remembered to be on? You know? Real quick. Won't somebody please think of the children? Start cola early? Maybe you think, no, that's not right. How about instead some Blatz beer? Well, hey, the malt in the beer supplies nourishing qualities that are essential at this time, and the hops act as an appetizing tonic. Okay, maybe you think beer's not right for the baby. How about this instead? Okay, so we got the Coke, we got the cocaine, we got the beer. What else are we going to do for the kids in marketing? Seriously, that's the type of crap that used to get out. This was culturally acceptable at one time. I'm going to wrap this up here real quick. Oh, geez. Okay, when Shatner's upset, you know that you've crossed a line. End this off with a little takeaway, something for the kids.
They sure work hard, don't they, Barney?
Yeah? I hate to see them work so hard.
Yeah, me too. Let's go around back where we can't see them.
Gee, we ought to do something, Fred.
Okay? How's about taking a nap?
I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break.
That's it! Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
Yeah, Fred. Filter blend makes the big taste difference, and only with...
So, anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna get Curtis up here right away. Yeah, again, that is sort of my reaction. I was going through and researching for this. Again, the stories that we tell, it's awesome on the one hand if we can make a ton of money and we can make a ton of closes, but let's also remember we often have a larger responsibility to ourselves, to our community, and not to be too grandiose, but also to history. So anyways, thanks for giving me a chance to come up here and make an ass of myself.